Before you listen, if you enjoy the stories and want to hear more, then please consider subscribing. Most of you listening aren't subscribed, so please take this time to subscribe. Turn on notifications so you'll never miss a story and be the first to hear. You'll also be supporting me. Thank you. I made the incredibly silly mistake early on of assuming Snapchat was just a harmless app for goofing around and chatting with close friends. But not taking the time to properly configure my privacy settings and limit who could contact me allowed random men and strangers to start following and stalking me both online and even in real life. I'll never forget the chilling moment of opening the app one morning to see I had received an unsolicited Snapchat from one of these strangers. A photo of me sitting alone on a bench at the neighborhood park near my house, obviously taken from their hidden vantage point watching me from afar without my knowledge. It taught me a sobering lesson at a young age about protecting my identity, location data, and personal boundaries online. A few of my closer friends have been telling me for a while that I just had to join Snapchat, raving about how fun and casual it was to share silly, spontaneous selfies and videos that disappeared forever after being viewed once. Compared to other social media platforms, Snapchat seemed more lighthearted and ephemeral since nothing was posted permanently. After some pestering, I finally gave in and downloaded the app one more weekend, setting up a basic profile with one of my Facebook photos and linking my phone contacts. Right away, I added a handful of my closest girlfriends from my phone, and we started sending each other goofy snaps, making ugly faces with filters and drawing little stickers and emoji art. I had to admit there was something entertaining and creatively freeing about being able to decorate photos with colorful filters, fun captions, and drawing effects before sending. It felt like a no-pressure sandbox for sharing glimpses of your day with your inner circle compared to the highly curated vibe of Instagram or Facebook. But in my excitement to appear well-connected and build up my Snapchat friend list rapidly, I foolishly started adding back and accepting requests from just about anyone who followed or added me without putting much thought into who they actually were. Within just a couple days of casual use, I suddenly had over 500 random followers from around the world, despite being brand new to the platform. At the time, this felt cool and exciting, even if I didn't know them. I wrongly assumed most were just fellow teens looking to expand their connections. In my oblivion, I didn't think twice about leaving my privacy settings completely open either. I enabled features like location sharing without considering how it exposed me. I was too caught up in the novelty of receiving snaps from exotic vacation spots or cute animal clips from complete strangers to consider the risks I was blindly taking. However, after using Snapchat daily for about 2 weeks, I started getting an uncomfortable, eerie vibe from some of the random, older male followers I had so open-mindedly added back early on. A handful had started frequently sending me unsolicited selfies showing off shirtless gym bodies or laying in bed, which I always just ignored. Then one Sunday morning, I opened the app and felt my blood run cold at an alarming unsolicited photo waiting in my inbox. It was an image of me sitting alone on a bench in the small neighborhood park, a few blocks from my apartment building, obviously taken from a hidden vantage point somewhere in the trees across the way. The chilling implication being that whoever sent this had been physically staking out and stalking me in real life without my knowledge. Confused, creeped out, and violated, I frantically checked the username of the person who had sent the unnerving snap. It was one of the older random men who had added me early on that I didn't actually know. My heart started racing uncontrollably as I realized this stranger had just openly revealed to me that he had been actively tracking my real-world location and activities. Feeling exposed and panicked, I went back through his story and saw he had also sent other subtle landscape shots of places around my town. The coffee shop I went to for studying, the gym where I worked out, even the grocery store near my apartment. The predatory intent was clear. This wasn't just some one-time photo taken in passing. This man had very clearly been stalking where I went in day-to-day life for who knows how long. Utterly freaked out and violated, I immediately deleted and blocked the creepy stalker everywhere I could. But my hands were shaking as the reality sank in that I had allowed a predator directly into my digital life by being so foolishly open on what I had assumed was just a fun, ephemeral app. The false sense of security had been shattered completely. This man now knew what I looked like, and had made it disturbing clear he had tracked me in real life. It shook me to my core. In the vulnerable weeks that followed, I became hyper-vigilant and paranoid whenever I was out in public. Going to class, the mall, at the gym, you name it. I find myself analyzing every passing stranger, wondering if their lingering glance meant they recognized me from my profile and were still tracking me even now that I had locked down my settings. I was haunted by the thought that I had enabled a stalker situation so easily. Thankfully, after that alarming incident, I didn't receive any more unsolicited snaps from that particular creepy follower after blocking him, nor did other random older men who had added me send anything inappropriate. But even once the immediate sense of panic finally subsided, an underlying lingering unease remained. I had learned the hard way how false and deceptive that feeling of anonymity online can be. Letting scores of strangers I didn't vet directly into even a seemingly harmless social app had clearly shown me it could still have very real, scary consequences in my actual day-to-day life offline. I realized stalkers and predators have been given an open door to prey on me behind the fun, goofy filters, and it could have ended so much worse. While I escaped without lasting physical harm, the chilling park stalker encounter still rattled and changed me at a fundamental level. Not even on platforms designed expressly for blowing off steam with close friends. One reckless moment of oversharing or ingrained ignorance about how exposed you really are on the internet was all it took for me to end up in a scary situation. I learned the hard way early on that Snapchat and other social media apps aren't always just harmless fun with people you think you know. After joining Snapchat and starting to chat with a guy named Jake from my Spanish class who I assumed was a friend, he deceived me by sending a sketchy phishing link which completely hacked my account when I recklessly clicked on it. I'll never forget the absolute sinking terror of being abruptly logged out and locked out of my own account by someone I had trusted, realizing they now had unfettered access to all of my private messages, photos, data, and could easily impersonate me. It was a chilling wake-up call right away about just how false the sense of security and friendship can be online. A whole bunch of my high school classmates have been telling me for a while that I just had to join Snapchat since it was so fun and casual for sharing silly, spontaneous selfies and videos that disappeared forever after being viewed once. Compared to other social media platforms where what you posted was permanent and visible to the world, Snapchat seemed more lighthearted and ephemeral since nothing was ever officially saved or publicized. After some pestering from friends, I finally downloaded the app one weekend when I was bored, setting up my account with one of my Facebook photos and linking my phone contacts. Right away, I added a handful of my closest girlfriends, and we started sending each other goofy snaps, making ugly faces with filters and drawing little stickers and emoji art. I had to admit there was something entertaining and creatively freeing about being able to decorate photos with colorful filters and captions before sending them off. It felt like a no-pressure sandbox compared to the more serious, permanent vibes of Facebook and Instagram. Over my first couple weeks active on the platform, I started to really enjoy having a new outlet to exchange spontaneous glimpses of my day with my inner circle. And with each fun snap I got, the more my privacy concerns began to erode. I soon started chatting with more distant acquaintances from school as well. One day I noticed I had received a Snapchat friend request from a guy named Jake who I vaguely knew from my Spanish class. We sometimes joked around together before the bell in class, so I didn't think much of adding him back. Soon we were regularly chatting, and he would send me flirty compliments that I admit I enjoyed. One Saturday when my parents were out, Jake sent me a snap saying he had found a fun quiz we should take. He provided a link to what looked on the surface like one of those personality or celebrity comparisons on BuzzFeed. Without thinking it through, I impulsively clicked the link on my phone while laying in bed, not considering what it might actually be. Immediately after the odd third-party quiz loaded, my Snapchat app started violently glitching, freezing, and then crashing completely. Before I could process what was happening, I got abruptly logged out of my account and couldn't log back in, even after inputting the correct password multiple times. That's when the full terror set in and my stomach dropped like a stone. This had clearly been some kind of phishing link that Jake had engineered to steal my login credentials and hijack my account. And I had fallen for it hook, line, and sinker like an idiot. The reality of what was now at stake shook me to my core. My worst fears were unfortunately confirmed just minutes later when alarmed texts started flooding in from close friends, asking why I was suddenly sending them gross sexual messages or demanding money. I frantically called a few only to learn my username, Bitmoji. Password and settings had all been changed. The hacker, obviously Jake, now had full control and was actively impersonating me to message crude things I would never say to my contacts. I felt beyond violated knowing this imposter had access to all my private conversations, photos, location data, and could ruin my relationships and reputation. I was completely powerless. In desperation, I contacted Snapchat support and explained through mortified tears that I had foolishly clicked on a sketchy phishing link sent by another user which had clearly compromised my account security. After an agonizing 24 hours of radio silence, Snapchat finally got back to me saying they could see my account showed signs of unauthorized access from a malware link. Thankfully, their security team was able to regain control and reset everything to restore my access. The enormous relief I felt was hard to put into words. But of course the damage was already done. Beyond just the deep embarrassment and unease over what Pitcher had said while posing as me for a day, I was extremely unsettled knowing my entire digital identity had been cracked wide open and infiltrated so easily through one reckless mistake. I had learned the hard way that these online spaces weren't as safe or trustworthy as I had assumed. In the aftermath, I immediately tightened every privacy setting so only close friends I actually knew in person could contact me, view stories, or see anything tied to my account. I also stopped chatting with or trusting anyone I didn't know well in real life, no matter how fun they seemed. I wasn't about to fall for any more phishing links from distant classmates. While I was immensely grateful Snapchat support was able to recover my account before permanent damage was done, having to change passwords everywhere, and the knowledge that a stranger had access to my conversations still left me feeling deeply shaken and conditioned me to be way more wary moving forward. Now I know better. I obviously learned the hard way early on that Snapchat conversations aren't actually as short and temporary as they seem. A person I was chatting with deceived me by asking to send a so-called screenshot, then used my appalled reaction to create a fake image that severely damaged my reputation. It taught me I have to be much more vigilant about trusting strangers online, even on apps designed to delete messages. It all started when I received a Snapchat friend request from a guy named Travis who claimed we went to the same high school. I didn't recognize him or his username, but we have few friends in common, so I unwittingly added him back. Travis initiated conversation immediately, introducing himself again and asking me casual get-to-know-you questions about classes, hobbies, weekend plans, and so on. At first, it seemed totally normal and harmless, so I didn't think twice about chatting with this new online acquaintance. But after talking casually on Snapchat for maybe a week or two, the conversations took a turn. One day, Travis brought up a controversial anonymous post he claimed had been made recently in one of the school Facebook groups. He said someone had written something really vulgar and inappropriate about female classmates and teachers, and asked me if I had seen it or knew who might have posted it. When I said no, Travis asked if he could send me a screenshot since the post had supposedly been deleted, and you can't directly paste images in Snapchat. In my naivety, I said sure without thinking twice or considering there could be ulterior motives. Looking back now, this should have been an immediate red flag. But at the time, I blindly assumed good intent from a chat buddy who supposedly went to my school. Big mistake. Travis promptly sent over what appeared to be a screenshot of a Facebook post where someone was making crude sexual jokes and aggressively insulting our teachers by name. The comments were truly vile, and I was shocked that any classmate would write publicly like that. Of course, I reacted honestly with disgust about how horrible it was, and questioned what kind of twisted person would post something so offensive. But not once did I think the screenshot could be fake. Immediately after I replied criticizing the vulgar post, Travis suddenly revealed that the whole thing had been staged. He didn't actually have any such screenshot from Facebook. My app showed that he had supposedly written the crude text and then pasted my appalled reaction. Before I could even process that I had been manipulated into reacting to fabricated content, Travis immediately blocked me so I was unable to contact him. Of course, then his scheme became painfully clear. The very next morning at school, it quickly became obvious just how Travis had tricked me as people began looking at me differently, whispering as I walked by, and a few even asked why I would write and post something so horrible online. Travis had clearly used a third-party app to edit that screenshot after our conversation ended, replacing his own name and image with mine. Then he posted the fake conversation everywhere to frame me as the person who had written the vulgarities. I was absolutely devastated. No matter how much I desperately defended myself to my real friends and classmates, the damage was already done. My reputation took a massive hit overnight. People I had known for years suddenly saw me differently thanks to some fake images from a shady guy I had unwittingly trusted. It was incredibly painful proof that online spaces like Snapchat carried real dangers, even if conversations disappeared. In the awful aftermath, I warned as many people as I could about what Travis had done and how he had manipulated the situation to smear me for his own sick amusement. Eventually, after the truth spread, most classmates realized Travis was the real villain, not me. But it took precious time to undo the vicious rumors and regain trust, since he had successfully planted that seed of doubt initially. The whole experience shook me to my core and destroyed my innocence about online conversations. I learned in the harshest way that nowhere is wholly safe or private, even apps like Snapchat designed to delete messages. Screenshots can still be covertly taken of anything incriminating you say, and convos can be copied or forged through other apps to portray the narrative someone wants. It taught me I had to be unendingly cautious about what I shared and said online, even in spaces marketed as carefree and ephemeral. While I was thankfully able to repair much of the social damage in time, the painful ordeal still left deep scars on my psyche. I became much more reluctant to open up in digital spaces, wary of befriending acquaintances online, and extremely hesitant to react openly, even to my closest friends, for fear anything could be manipulated. It made me resent social media as I realized how easily one malicious person could turn an app against me that was supposed to foster connections. In the end, though, I'm grateful the incident wasn't even worse. As traumatic as it was to have my reputation temporarily tarnished at a fragile high school age, it could have been far more devastating and permanent. I'm lucky that over time, the truth prevailed and justice was served. But it forced me to mature quickly and made me wise up fast about protecting myself online and being much more selective about who to trust. Some tough lessons about human nature, unfortunately, just have to be learned the hard way through pain and mistakes. We want to believe people online will reciprocate good faith, but there are predators in all spaces looking for vulnerabilities to exploit and valves to turn. I'm just glad Snapchat gave me that crash course in my youth before more was at stake as an adult. Now I'm much better prepared to identify and combat them.
Thanks for listening in. If you like these stories and want to hear more, then please subscribe and like and support this new channel. We have more stories for you to listen to.